notice that this is up here. There are those 4 words: care, welfare, safety, and security. Really critical to our understanding of how we go about applying this training model, right? Because we need to do it with the best care, welfare, safety, and security in mind for our clients and for all of us as well. Knowing the difference between verbal situations, verbally acting out behavior, and physically acting out behavior helps us, because we know there are different intervention strategies that work better for verbally acting out behavior versus physically acting out behavior. And if we know which ones to use in those right situations, it can help us to prevent and de-escalate those crises.
Everyone over here facing the door, you guys will be the ones standing your ground. Anyone facing the window, you'll be the ones walking when I cue you, all right? Again, make sure to maintain eye contact and keep your hands exposed as well. Right, ready and walk. Good, okay guys, why are the lines so crooked now? Why are they not quite as evened out as they were a moment ago?
Everyone has a different level of comfort for personal space, different range.
Good. Everyone has a different comfort zone, right? Different level of confidence with their personal space. So size and height might be a factor, gender, culture. There's a number of different things that we'll talk about. So it is important to remember, everyone, that generally speaking, people remember and they recall, they are more likely to remember how we say things during an interaction and not necessarily the words that are said. People remember how they felt during the dialogue. They remember if they felt embarrassed, if they felt degraded, if they felt respected, if they felt validated as a person. So this is what people walk away with, and this is why it's so critical to building and sustaining positive relationships.
And those of you who are in the front row, in a minute I'm going to ask you to turn around, and I'm going to ask you to use an example of how you've experienced refusal with your partner. And those of you who are refusing, you're the young men here, you're our residents. And those in the back, you're our staff members. And see how that feels. Try to get them to do what you want them to do. Okay? Front row, turn around. Staff, are you ready? Residents, are you ready? Yes. Residents, go ahead and refuse. Okay, time. Did you get told no in one way or another? Yeah. Keep in mind those examples. We'll talk about those again in just a minute. But how did you feel as you were trying to get them to comply? Chris, any feelings that were going through you at that time?
I was feeling anxious myself, actually.
Yeah, some anxiety, some frustration about trying to get somebody to do something they don't want to do. Trauma. Remember we talked about, is this a traumatic experience for people? Well, yeah, it can be and it cannot be, but once it gets physical, the likelihood it's going to be traumatic goes up. And then relationships. We've talked over and over, you know, that therapeutic rapport part, how important it is to build trust, how important it is to have a good relationship with the clients here. That relationship can just fall to pieces the minute we lay our hands on them. And then there are some studies that have shown that people who are repeatedly restrained can develop feelings that they have no control over any aspect of their own lives. They start thinking, my goodness, what's wrong with me? The staff has to hold on to me so I don't hurt people. I must not be able to control anything. And it can lead to serious psychological problems for that individual. And if you turn your page and look at page number 56, you'll see examples of high-risk positions for restraint-related positional asphyxia. We won't train you how to do any of these. Notice that the illustrations have that universal circle and slash through them, right? Everybody knows that means don't do it. They're only here to highlight that we don't do anything that looks like these 6 positions. This is something we only do as a last resort. It's not the first tool out of the toolbox, is it? So what are some of those alternatives? If we're in a situation that's getting pretty tense, what could we try as an alternative? Look at your web-based entries for 8.1. Randy, what have you got?
Well, I had some of all that verbal stuff we did earlier in the day and all those limits. And if we get better at some of that stuff, maybe we don't get here.
Yeah, we can still keep doing verbal intervention, right? Even if it's approaching being physical, nothing wrong with still trying to de-escalate verbally. What else do we have? Kelly?
I think Randy also brought this up about at the time of intake, asking our offenders what will help them, what can we do to help them calm down if they need assistance.
Learning, knowing our clients. Yeah, because maybe we can avoid some of the things that trigger the behavior in the first place if we really get to know them. What else do you have, Bob?
Coping is a framework that we use to better help people who have been in a crisis cope with the situation that happened. So again, it may be clients, it may be staff, it may be bystanders, family members, whoever was actually involved. C is for control. And as we mentioned, what we're looking for is to get a sense of the individual having regained control, both emotional control and physical control. How can you tell when someone is emotionally back in control? What tells you that? Chris? How can you tell when someone's regained control?
Their energy level is reduced substantially. Their nonverbal activity is reduced.
Good. Their body literally often decreases in tension, right? So whereas they might have been very riled up, we talked earlier about chest puffed out and fists clenched, frown on the face, you may start seeing the individual veer away from that.